Hi, my friend. Hi. So, last time we settled the throne room debate. Okay? So, Dividend Kings versus Dividend Aristocrats. And what each title really means. So, we discussed what they really meant and why neither one is a buy signal on its own. So, if you haven't watched that video yet, I'll link it here below. Okay? But you don't need to follow it today if you want. Okay? You can have a look at it later on or start off with that one and come back to this one. So, very quickly, before we continue, if you're finding this useful, please hit the like button, okay? It really helps this video with the YouTube algorithm and helps the channel grow. And if you want more content like this, make sure you subscribe and click on the notification bell, okay? So you don't miss any future videos. And as a thank you for doing that, here's a picture of... But today, we're going to be answering the two questions that actually matter once you've decided dividends might be part of your wealth plan, okay? So I see two types of people that get this wrong in opposite directions, okay? The first type waits. They tell themselves they'll start once they have more money saved up or once the market looks safer, and 5 years go by, all right? Then there's a second type, rushes in. They see an eye-popping yield, they throw money at it, and only later discover that the company was paying out more than it earned. Both mistakes are avoidable with the same thing, okay? A framework. So that's what today is all about, okay? A complete three-part system for deciding when you're ready and exactly how to build a dividend portfolio step by step. No guesswork, no stock picking hype, just the process, and that's it, all right? So let's just go ahead and build that, okay? So let's deal with the timing first, because this is where most people either freeze or jump too early, all right? Here's the honest answer. Dividend investing isn't about finding the perfect market moment. It's about whether your personal financial foundation is ready, and that comes down to three checks. So the first check one, is do you have an emergency fund? If a dividend stock drops 20%, right, okay, right when your car breaks down, you don't want to be forced to sell at a loss to cover the repair. So 3 to 6 months of essential expenses sitting in cash or a high yield savings account comes before a single share gets bought. This isn't a dividend-specific rule. It's the foundation under any investing. But it's especially important here because dividend investors tend to hold for years, okay? And you don't want a personal emergency forcing you to exit at the worst time. Then check two. What's your time horizon? Dividend investing done properly is a long game. Okay? And the real power isn't the yield you collected this year, it's decades of reinvested, growing payments compounding on top of each other. If you think you'll need the money within 2 or 3 years, dividend stocks are not the right vehicle. This is a 10-year plus conversation. Okay? And a last one, check three, and this is the most important one. This is the one almost nobody asks themselves honestly. Can you emotionally handle a dividend cut? It will happen to you eventually on at least one stock if you invest on them long enough. So even kings occasionally get dethroned. If a single dividend cut would make you panic sell your entire portfolio, you're not ready to pick individual stocks yet. And that's completely fine. It just means your starting point should look different, which we'll get to. If you can honestly check all three boxes, you're not early and you're not late. You're ready, Okay, so let's talk about now the how, because you're ready. So how can we proceed? So the how is based on a 3-pillar system. So the pillar 1 is basically reading the numbers before you read the hype. Okay, so once you're ready, the first step, simply put, which gets constantly ignored, is, like I said, read these numbers, read the numbers before you read the headline. Start with yield, but don't worship it. A useful benchmark is comparing a stock's dividend yield to the yield of the US 10-year Treasury bond, which right now, as of the making of this video, sits right around 4.5%. That Treasury yield is essentially the risk-free baseline. If a stock is yielding meaningfully more than that, ask yourself why the market is demanding a high return to hold it. Sometimes it's genuinely undervalued because healthy companies, and sometimes the market is pricing in real risk of a future cut. A sky-high yield is a question, not an answer. Second number, the payout ratio. The percentage of a company's earnings being paid out as dividends. As a general rule of thumb, a payout ratio somewhere in the 35 to 65% range is considered healthy for most established companies, leaving room to keep growing the dividend even if earnings dip for a year. Utilities and real estate trusts often run higher than that structurally, and that can be fine. But once a payout ratio creeps towards the 80 or 90% or above, you're looking at a company with very little cushion. One bad year and the dividend is at risk. The third number is the dividend growth streak and its trend. Has the company been raising its dividend by a meaningful percentage each year, or has the increase slowed to a token penny per share just to keep the streak alive on paper? Because a slowing growth rate is often the earliest warning that there is trouble ahead. Okay, well before any cut actually happens. Now, none of these 3 numbers alone tells the whole story. Together, they tell you whether you're looking at a sustainable dividend or a ticking clock. Okay? Now, pillar 2 now is about mechanics, not stock picking, and it's the part of dividend investing that quietly does most of the work over time. It's called a DRIP, okay, which stands for a dividend investment plan. Okay, instead of that quarterly dividend payment landing in your account as cash, it automatically buys you more shares of the same stock. Those new shares then earn their own dividend next quarter, which buy even more shares, which earn more dividends. It's a loop, and the loop compounds, all right? And here's why this matters more than people expect. In the early years, reinvested dividends look almost invisible, a few extra shares here and there. But because each new share is also a dividend payer, the snowball effect accelerates the longer you leave it alone. And this is the same compounding principle behind almost every quiet long-term wealth story you've ever heard. Now, here's a question I get asked constantly, and it trips up a lot of new investors. If the dividend gets reinvested automatically and you never touch the cash, is it still taxed? All right? Now, in a standard taxable brokerage account, the answer is unfortunately yes. So the tax authorities treat a reinvested dividend exactly the same as a cash dividend you've considered to have received that income the moment it's paid, even though it went straight into buying more shares instead of landing in your bank account. So their investment is really 2 events happening at once. You received taxable income and then you immediately used it to buy a new separate lot of shares. The one major exception is a tax advantage retirement account. Okay, so in the US it could be an IRA or a 401k, okay, or the equivalent tax sheltered wrapper in your own country. So you might have something simply based on where you live, okay? So inside those, reinvested dividends grow without triggering immediate tax, which is exactly why so many long-term investors prioritize filing those accounts first, All right. So the practical takeaway is, unless you specifically need the dividend income to live on right now, turn on automatic reinvestment from day one. It removes a decision point, it removes the temptation to spend the cash, and it lets the math work in the background while you focus on your life. So, pillar 3 is where individual numbers become an actual portfolio. And this is where the readiness checks from earlier come back into play. Okay, so if you're newer to this, or you said no to that third, let's say, readiness check about handling a dividend cut emotionally, start broad. A diversified dividend-focused fund spreads you across dozens of companies at once, so a single cut barely moves the needle on your overall income. This is not a lesser strategy, it's the right starting point for most people, and plenty of experienced investors stay here permanently because it's just simpler and just as effective for building long-term income. If you do want to hold individual dividend stocks, though, the discipline is diversification across sectors, all right, and cross payout sources. So don't end up with every position concentrated in one industry, all right? Because if that sector hits a rough patch, your entire income streams takes the hit at the same time. So a useful guardrail many income investors use is keeping any single position to a small percentage of a total portfolio, so that even a worst case cut from one holding is manageable and is a manageable dent and not a crisis. And here's the discipline that ties everything together. Revisit your holdings maybe once or twice a year, not every day. Check the same 3 numbers from pillar 1, yield versus treasury benchmark, payout ratio, and dividend growth. And if something has clearly deteriorated, that's a reason to reassess. Okay, so daily price watching just adds stress without adding any insight. Okay, so let's bring both videos now together. From part 1, okay, just to summarize it, we saw that a Dividend King has 50 plus years of increases with no official rulebook. A Dividend Aristocrat has, on the other hand, 25 years plus inside the strict official S&P 500 index. And neither title, though, is a buy signal by itself. From the video today, on the other hand, you're ready to start once your emergency fund, time horizon, and emotional tolerance for a cut are all in place. And once you're ready, the how comes down to 3 pillars. Read the numbers, let reinvestment compound quietly in the background, and build an actual diversified portfolio instead of chasing a single attractive yield. All right, now that's the complete picture. No hype, no stock tips, just a process that you can actually use starting today. All right, and as I said, and I always say, if this video and this 2-part series gave you some real clarity, please just subscribe, give me a thumbs up, a like, and it helps a lot. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye, my friend. Bye.